In Jeremiah chapter 20, the prophet faces intense persecution for delivering God's message. Pashur, the priest, who is the chief officer in the temple, hears Jeremiah's prophecy of judgment and becomes enraged. He strikes Jeremiah and has him placed in the stocks, a public humiliation meant to disgrace him. Jeremiah is held in the stocks overnight, suffering the shame of being mocked and ridiculed for his message. Despite this, Jeremiah boldly proclaims that Pashur will also face disaster and that his name will be changed to Megor-Missabib, meaning terror on every side, as a sign of the coming judgment upon the city. When Jeremiah is released from the stocks the next day, he speaks more of God's message of doom. He declares that Pashur and all who are in his house will face destruction, and that they will be taken into captivity by the Babylonians. Jeremiah's prophecy emphasizes that the city will fall, and that even the leaders and priests who resist the truth will not escape God's wrath. The chapter highlights the inevitability of God's judgment upon Judah, no matter how much the people and their leaders oppose or ignore the message. Jeremiah then expresses deep anguish and frustration over his calling as a prophet. He laments that he has become a target of mockery, scorn, and ridicule. Although he initially wished to cease prophesying because of the suffering, he cannot contain the word of the Lord within him. He describes the pressure of the message as a fire burning in his heart, which he cannot hold back. His internal struggle reveals the painful tension of being God's messenger, as he is mocked by his own people, yet compelled by the divine calling to speak God's truth. The chapter concludes with Jeremiah's mixture of sorrow and hope. Despite the persecution, Jeremiah acknowledges that God has been with him, providing him strength and support. He calls on God for justice, expressing his frustration over the betrayal of his own people but reaffirming his trust in God's ultimate plan. Jeremiah even curses the day of his birth, lamenting that he was born into a life of suffering. Nevertheless, he remains resolute in his role as God's prophet, understanding that the fulfillment of God's word must come, even though it brings pain and persecution. Let's now read Jeremiah chapter 20. Now Pashur the son of Immer the priest, who was also chief governor in the house of the Lord, heard that Jeremiah prophesied these things. Then Pashur smote Jeremiah the prophet, and put him in the stocks that were in the high gate of Benjamin, which was by the house of the Lord. And it came to pass on the morrow, that Pashur brought forth Jeremiah out of the stocks. Then said Jeremiah unto him, The Lord hath not called thy name Pashur, but Megor-Missabib. For thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will make thee a terror to thyself, and to all thy friends, and they shall fall by the sword of their enemies, and thine eyes shall behold it. And I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall carry them captive into Babylon, and shall slay them with the sword. Moreover I will deliver all the strength of this city, and all the labors thereof, and all the precious things thereof, and all the treasures of the kings of Judah will I give into the hand of their enemies, which shall spoil them, and take them, and carry them to Babylon. And thou, Pashur, and all that dwell in thine house shall go into captivity, and thou shalt come to Babylon, and there thou shalt die, and shalt be buried there, thou, and all thy friends, to whom thou hast prophesied lies. O Lord, thou hast deceived me, and I was deceived. Thou art stronger than I, and hast prevailed. I am in derision daily, every one mocketh me. For since I spake, I cried out, I cried violence and spoil, because the word of the Lord was made a reproach unto me, and a derision, daily. Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in mine heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones, and I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. For I heard the defaming of many, fear on every side. Report, say they, and we will report it. All my familiars watched for my halting, saying, Peradventure he will be enticed, and we shall prevail against him, and we shall take our revenge on him. But the Lord is with me as a mighty terrible one, therefore my persecutors shall stumble, and they shall not prevail, they shall be greatly ashamed, for they shall not prosper, their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten. But, O Lord of hosts, that triest the righteous, and seest the reins and the heart, Let me see thy vengeance on them, for unto thee have I opened my cause. Sing unto the Lord, praise ye the Lord, for he hath delivered the soul of the poor from the hand of evildoers. Cursed be the day wherein I was born, let not the day wherein my mother bare me be blessed. Cursed be the man who brought tidings to my father, saying, a man-child is born unto thee, making him very glad. And let that man be as the cities which the Lord overthrew, and repented not, and let him hear the cry in the morning, and the shouting at noontide. Because he slew me not from the womb, or that my mother might have been my grave, and her womb to be always great with me. Wherefore came I forth out of the womb to see labor and sorrow, that my days should be consumed with shame? This ends our reading of Jeremiah chapter 20.